Today is a popular topic of the moment. It's CF Express cards. A, B, maximum, minimum write speeds, how they compare to XQD and SD cards, and which one you might want, both from a perspective of the camera that you're shooting with now and future-proofing yourself for the camera you might be shooting later. Well, hey everybody, Hudson here, happy holidays. This is a hot topic, particularly in Nikon land with the Nikon Z9 coming. And I'll be honest, I didn't think that memory cards were all that important, and I have to have a huge shout out to my good friend Carl March, who said, hey, look around, there's some interesting information out there, particularly as it pertains to the Z9, not the current crop of cameras that most of us with the major brands are shooting with right now. And I'll talk about what I'm talking about more in a second. We're going to talk about the theoretical speed differentials between SD, XQD, CF Express A and B, and then the fact that there are differentiations amongst the cards in those categories. So I'll talk more about all that and also give you some recommendations based on what you're shooting with now, what you intend to shoot in the future, how to future-proof yourself, but how also not to spend more money than you need to right now. All right, so before we do that, I'm gonna just give a couple quick announcements. Office hours, we have a photo contest running. 3 talented people that submit images. We have a bunch of amazing images in the gallery already. You can upload your image at hudsonhenry.com/office hours. 1 submission per person. All the instructions are there. Make sure you name it with your name. 3 of the submissions we're going to go through and pick to receive a brand new Unleashed Bluetooth camera controller. It comes with an amazing app. You can do bulb ramping, holy grail time lapse from day to night, long exposures, all kinds of stuff using your phone. And they work with Sony, Nikon, Canon, Fuji, and Panasonic now, which is really cool. As well as a $75 gift certificate to anything in my store, from courses and workshops to custom-built tripods and case filters, all that stuff, anything you want. So make sure you sign up. Also, leave us a question when you sign up and choose whether to be on Zoom with us, where we're all interactive, or watching on YouTube Live. Again, Tuesday, December 7th, 10 a.m. Pacific. Join us. And we'll go through and look at a bunch of those images, as many as we have time for, as well as taking some of the questions that you leave when you sign up. All right, so I've been getting inundated really with questions about memory cards. Why isn't my new CF Express card working with my XQD reader? Have I got the right one for the Nikon Z9 that's coming? I know a lot of people in this community have gotten these hats because they were the first to pre-order the Z9, and Nikon's been sending hats along with a letter saying your Z9 is coming soon, you're in the first people to receive it. I'm happy to have my hat, but I don't have the camera yet. But it's interesting. You know, I've been thinking about this memory card thing, particularly since an email exchange I had with my good friend Carl March, who was with us in Yellowstone last month on our workshop. He's excited about his Z9, and he saw that I'd ordered a 1 terabyte pro-grade card when I talked about the Z9. He said, you really want to rethink that. And so I started doing a little research. There's a lot of people that have been testing cards in the Z9, and it seems like it's a different beast of future camera, where it really can take advantage of the write speed of the fastest cards that are out there right now for photography. That's not necessarily true of a lot of the current crop of cameras. And I want to actually run through a little test with my Z7 II, shooting with the SD card, an XQD card, and 2 different versions of CF Express card, a sort of standard version and a much more pro-grade, faster sustained throughput card. And we'll talk about why, to future-proof yourself, you might not just want to get a CF Express B card, but a CF Express B card that has a fast minimum write speed, not just the maximum that they mark on the outside of the card. And I'll talk to you about which cards are great. I'll give you some links to cards in this video's full description, and you can always look in this video's full description for a chaptered out, time code linked table of contents where you can click and watch and rewatch any section of this that you want. But I want to go through some numbers first and foremost. So, you know, I'm going to completely disregard CFast and the original CF Express cards. We're going to talk about SD, XQD, and CF Express cards, both A and B. SD cards, everybody knows, they started out being kind of the consumer grade compact camera memory card, and they've gotten faster and faster through the years. The fastest theoretical write speed of any SD card at this point is 312 megabytes per second. And the fastest real-world write speed that anybody's getting from the most expensive of these cards is about 260 megabytes per second. It's respectable. You can easily shoot 4K video to these cards. You know, for me, the Z6 II and the Z7 II both have a CF Express compact or XQD CF Express B/compact or XQD slot. You can interchangeably use those cards. They're the same size and format, look the same, just have a different printing on them. And an SD slot. And I tend to shoot 4K video at the highest quality setting on these SD cards, and it's just fine. My friend Andy has shot feature films on SD cards with some of the Panasonic cameras out there. Then along came in Nikon's DSLRs and in Sony's top video cameras, Sony actually pioneered these XQD cards. They're the same size, format, slot. They fit right in the same place as a CF Express B card, the new fastest card. These have a theoretical maximum speed of a gigabyte per second. And a real world speed, the fastest ones of these tend to be about 400 megabytes per second. And you know, those of us who shot with the Nikon D850 and 500 for a long time probably have a slew of these cards lying around. They're fast. You know, that other people just stuck with the SD cards. And to be honest, there's not that huge a performance difference in the cameras that we've been using for a while, just because they don't write fast enough to take advantage of this speed differential. And tests that I did, I didn't notice that huge a difference. Then along came the CF Express formats. And I don't have CF Express A cards, but they're sort of halfway in size between an SD card and a CF Express B or XQD card. The only people using them, it's another Sony format, and Sony's the only one making those cards, and Sony cameras are the only ones using those cards that I know of. And somebody's probably going to correct me that there's some other brand using them. But they have a maximum theoretical throughput that's the same as XQD. It's 1 gigabyte, but it's a different throughput method. It's a PCI lane. It's different than just the standard kind of flash memory that you've got in SD or XQD. So the fastest real world cards that they're making, say for the Sony A1 and A9 II, are 700 megabytes per second. Significantly faster than the real world speeds that are coming out of XQD, but still, wait till you hear about CF Express B. So CF Express B cards look the same as XQD cards, but they're completely different. And they will not work in an XQD reader. You need a CF Express B reader to read these cards. It's a different kind of transfer method. And they have 2 PCI lanes, so they double the theoretical speed of the CF Express A that Sony's using. They get up to 2 gigabytes per second in theoretical speed, and the fastest cards out there are working at about 1.5 gigabytes per second, 1,500 megabytes per second. So even faster, more than twice as fast as the fastest CF Express A cards. These are the speed cards of the future, I think. You know, Sony has bet on card formats in the past that have been a little suspect. I would be careful if you're a Sony shooter of investing too much in the CF Express A format, because right now only Sony's making them. They're expensive because there's no competition. And eventually when they're doing raw 8K video and wanting to get more buffer performance out of their cameras in the future, they're probably, well, I'm not going to say for sure, but my guess is that they'll eventually join the crowd and move over to CF Express B. So I would just keep that in the back of your head and not collect dozens of those really expensive A cards. Now, CF Express B, this is the fastest standard that we have. It comes in a couple different flavors. So I'm a big fan of ProGrade. This is a company made from a bunch of people that worked at other memory card companies like SanDisk and Lexar. And I've been using their cards for a long time, very, very happily. No problems with durability, speed, performance, and they've just been good cards. I haven't heard anything negative about them. I've only heard positive about them. And they're priced a little bit cheaper than the competition with the same performance standards. So I've been buying them, but I haven't noticed a massive difference in the buffer capacity. With my original Z6 and Z7, when they came out with the firmware update, I tested it. I got the same results with XQD as I got with these new twice as fast CF Express cards. And then with the Z7 and the Z6 II, also a little bit disappointing. I think they kept the same infrastructure for moving data through the camera. But when you go out and you do a little research with people that have, you know, early versions of the Z9 and advanced copies of the Z9 and Z9 prototypes, and they've been running bunches of different cards. I've looked at a lot of different test comparisons. And it appears to me, you know, the big difference in these cards. So this is the Pro Grade Gold card. It's a little bit cheaper. This is a 256 gigabyte card. This is the Pro Grade Cobalt card, which it has a faster minimum write speed. Both of them, you know, claim about 1.5 gigabytes per second as their fastest write speed, 1.7 gigabytes per second as their fastest read speed. But the Cobalt cards say they have a minimum write speed if they have a stream coming at them of 1400 megabytes per second, versus the Gold card can drop to 400 megabytes per second. You know, more than 3 times slower in its potential dip as it's moving data through it. And when people have been testing these two variants of the card in the Z9, they're getting, and let's just talk about what they're testing. They're testing it at 20 frames a second in raw capture, uncompressed raw files. They get 38 raw files in a burst before it hangs up and starts slowing down out of the Gold card. And they get 81 frames in a burst before it starts slowing down at 20 frames a second, uncompressed raw files, with the Cobalt card. So that means that the Z9 is the first camera in the Nikon lineup to take advantage of that write speed and be able to clear its buffer nearly as fast as the files are coming in. And what I've also read is that if you're shooting compressed raw files or the the high-res, full-res JPEGs, it's basically bottomless with the faster card. You still bottom out after 150 or 200 frames with the Gold cards, which slow down in their write speed, but the sustained faster writing cards can make your buffer essentially bottomless unless you're shooting uncompressed raw. So that's exciting stuff. All right. Let's talk about what I'm finding when I shoot with my current camera, the Z6 II and the Z7 II. So, here I'm going to stick a fast Sony SD card in here. It's not the fastest. I think its maximum write speed's, like 200 megabytes per second or something like that, maybe even slower, I don't remember. It's relatively fast. I shoot 4K video with it. I'm going to go down here and format my card slot. I am shooting uncompressed raw files at my highest frame rate. I think with the Z7 II, it's 14 frames a second. It doesn't matter. It's the fastest frame rate, uncompressed raw files. I'm shooting it with the lens cap on, 8,000th of a second. It's just a dark frame, essentially, as fast as I possibly can. And I'll let off when it slows down, and we'll see how many frames we get. Let's go. Okay. Hit play. We got 34 frames. 34. All right. So SD, 34. All right, let's turn the camera off. Got the green light on there. I don't want to pull the card while it's still writing. There it goes. And I'm going to put in the fastest, the 64 gigabyte Sony XQD card. Faster than my 128 gigabyte card, probably. Or maybe they're about the same, who knows. But all right, I'm going to jump into my menu again. Format the CF Express card so there's no data on it whatsoever. All right, get everything lit up. Again, we're just making exactly the same test here. Let's see what XQD gets us, because it's significantly faster. It's supposed to be 400 megabytes per second. Let's go. All right. $39. 5 more frames. Nothing earth-shattering there. See, that's what I'm talking about. Really, how much extra do you want to spend for 5 extra frames in your buffer? It depends on how you use your camera and how you shoot. All right, so let's pop that card out. And we'll put in, it did clear the buffer a little quicker. We'll put in a CF Express B card. This is the Gold card, which has the lower sustained write speed, the 400 megabytes per second minimum write speed. We're going to go in once again, keep our tests completely the same here. This is a slightly smaller card. It's I think it's a 128 card, maybe, or maybe a 256. What was it? Let's have a look. It's a 256. All right. This is my best, second best XQD card. All right, so it's formatted. We're ready to go. Let's see what we get. All right. $41. All right, 41 frames. That's 2 frames different than XQD and only 7 frames more than SD. All right, well, oh wait, let's turn it off. Okay, and now we're gonna put the much more expensive pro-grade Cobalt card, which is one of the best cards tested in the Z9. That's the card that got 81 frames versus the gold's 38 frames in the Z9. Let's turn on the camera, format our card. All right, we'll make sure we're all ready to go here. Let's fire away. Doesn't seem like I got much longer of a burst. 38, I got less. Let's run that test one more time. That's odd. I got 1 more frame last time I ran it. I don't know what's up with that. Let's try that one more time. Shows the randomness of the universe. Let's try that again. All right. 43. Okay, so I got 2 more that time. It just goes to show, not a whole bunch more. And I think probably I held the thing down. So 42, 43. So we go from 34 frames in the SD card to 39 in the XQD card to 41 in the CF Express card to 43 in the CF Express B card. What does that tell me? That tells me that the Z6 II and the Z7 II are not really built to take advantage of the throughput and speed that's possible in the newest CF Express B cards. Now, the test that other people are getting out of the Z9 tells you that future cameras are going to be designed to do it. It's going to be a simpler way and a cheaper way for manufacturers to get larger buffers and higher quality video out of their future cameras without building a whole bunch of internal buffer memory into the body and taking up the space and paying that money. They're just going to have faster architecture to move data through. And I'm sure that will bleed down to less expensive cameras, you know, let's say a future Z8 or something like that. So I would say, you know, if you have XQD cards and you're currently working with a Z6 II or a Z7 II, don't even think about changing. You know, you get a marginal benefit even upgrading from SD cards right now. If you're buying a Z9 and you intend to shoot action and sports and you want that faster buffering, you're going to shoot a lot of RAW files, well, then I would say, you know, spend your money, you're spending money on the camera anyway, on the better memory cards. Get the Cobalt faster memory card. There's another brand called Wise, which makes a pro brand that gets the same exact speed performance. They're a little bit more expensive for a little bit smaller card. Again, I really like Pro Grade for the price and quality. This 650 gigabyte card was $699 at B&H. I'm going to put a link to it in this video's description. But again, you know, if you're not buying that next generation camera yet and you have SD cards, fast SD cards and XQD cards, you might as well keep using them. If you do want to buy into the next generation of cameras and you're worried about future-proofing yourself, I did a little research. You know, I've been selling gear of late on this website, mpb.com. They've given me a really fair deal. It's really simple. You don't have to photograph anything. You just grade your gear on their scale, whether it's, you know, like new, excellent, good, fair, poor. They give you a little easy to read guide on how to grade your own gear. They'll give you a quote. You send them the gear with prepaid shipping mailers that they send to you, and they just deposit the money in your bank account after they check it. If you disagree about the quality, they'll send it back to you or offer you a revised price. I've had friends where they actually upgraded the price. Rick LePage sent in a bunch of stuff, and they downgraded one of his pieces of equipment, but upgraded the other and sent him more than they'd initially given him in an estimate. So I got exactly my estimate when I sent in a bunch of gear, including my D850 and a bunch of F-mount lenses. So I was just looking, and they'll pay a significant amount of money for old XQD cards. Not maybe as much as I'd like for my 128 gigabyte CF Express B card that doesn't have a fast sustained write speed, but you know, if you want to get rid of stuff while it still has value, now is probably the time. As the future crop of cameras come out that take advantage of that throughput and speed, you're going to see XQD cards in particular lose value. Again, people ask me a lot about readers. I said it in the beginning of this, you have to have a reader for CF Express B. It will not work in an XQD reader. ProGrade also has a really good deal on this XQD or the CF Express B reader, which I've been using. I like the one that's CF Express B and SD. I think that makes a lot of sense. They make one that's CF Express B and XQD, but I just think XQD is already becoming a legacy standard. You know, if you have XQD cards, you probably already have an XQD reader. I wouldn't buy a new one. I think SD is going to be around with us for a long time for a lot of your different devices. It's more handy having a fast SD reader alongside your ultra fast CF Express B reader. These things are like 79 bucks. I'll put a link to this in this video's description. All the gear that I use linked at hudsonhenry.com/ATSlinks. So hopefully that sort of demystifies a little stuff. If you're wanting to get the fast speed that you can get moving CF Express B data into your computer, make sure you use a fast port on your computer, a super speed port or a Thunderbolt 3 port, and use a fast cable like the cable that comes with this. Not all cables are the same. You got to make sure your cable is rated for the speed that this thing's capable of. This will move data at the max speed that the card can go, 1700 megabytes per second. It's fun watching a 256 gigabyte or a 650 gigabyte card just whip through a fast pipeline into your computer through a reader like this, instead of sitting and waiting for 10 minutes while an SD card loads across. It is really fun. All right, so that's it for all the card stuff. Hit me up with any questions that you have. Hit me in the comments. Can't wait to get my Z9 again. It's going to come here while I'm in Mexico. I'll have somebody sign for it. And I'll get to play around with it, make a setup video in Mexico shooting kiteboarding in January, and let you all know what I think of it. I hope for those of you getting one, you enjoy it. It's coming really soon. I hope everyone has been enjoying the holidays. I've been just having a blast with family, food, puzzles, walks in the woods with my kids. I hope everybody's getting that kind of family time. I've had some really good time with my mom, and I hope everyone takes the time to enjoy their families, stay creative. Got a video coming really soon about the ZFC. I was going to do it today. It's already shot, but I figure with so many people getting the Z9 soon, people are going to want to know about these cards. That'll be coming in a couple weeks. I got a video coming about workshops. If you run over to my workshop page, there's some new stuff there. Just a little hint, we're not announcing everything yet, but if you watch to the end of this video, go check it out. So fun stuff coming down the pipeline. Again, I hope everybody stays safe, stays creative, enjoys food, family, and the holiday cheer. All right, everybody. See you next week.